I'm Amanda Dounis from the Positive Thinking Clinic. You're about to see a fantastic conversation between me and Catherine and Joe from Positive Living Skills. Positive Living Skills is an amazing organisation. What we've decided to do is put a number of videos together just to spread the word so that educators, children, interested persons, parents, anybody gets to know what it is that Positive Living Skills can offer and how schools and early childhood services like the ones that I'm involved with, or my Positive Thinking Clinic, my Emotional Wellness Clinic, what we can do together as a team so that we can contribute to the emotional wellness for kids. Today we speak specifically about one of the units, and it's called Highlights. And it's amazing what we can do to bring highlights into our voices, into our minds, into our experiences. Right at the end of the video, you'll get to find out more about myself, who I am, where I'm from, and how to contact me, and a little bit more or a lot more about Positive Living Skills, how to contact them, how they formed their company, and what they can do. So please watch right till the end and you'll get absolutely all the information that you need. Enjoy. Okay, so here I am, Amanda Dounis from the Positive Thinking Clinic, and we have Catherine Shaw and Joe DEVIN from Positive Living Skills, and it's so great to have you ladies here being able to have this conversation with me today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
So I'm really excited that we work as a team as much as possible, and I know you guys do great for children of all ages and schools, childcare centres, plus schools, public schools, and the older kids as well. And the whole point of today is that we've had you guys license us as Positive Living Skills childcare centres for a number of years now. And so yes, I really see the benefit, and I'm thinking, let's get the message out there. And so that it's not so overwhelming with information for our listeners, at least I thought to myself, one of the topics that we do, because you guys have introduced us to highlights, feelings, focus, relaxation, cooperation and self-esteem, and everything that you've taught us to do with our children has done nothing but excel their emotional wellness. And I'm really grateful for your program.
It's great. And we love hearing that.
I'm so glad. And it's really true. And I thought to myself, let's take the opportunity today so that we can speak about just one of your units, and it's called Highlights. And our listeners right now can be other organisations, any organisation actually, parents, it could be interested children, interested teachers, and I guess the audience can just be absolutely anybody who's interested in the emotional wellness of our kids and how it can be promoted or extended. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read one of your paragraphs on Highlights, and it reads as this: the learning experiences within Highlights teach children to make connections with positive things that exist or occur daily within themselves and others and in the world around them, and to harness the positive emotions that flow. Children have the opportunity to build skills to look for, notice and fully appreciate the simple moments that encourage a sense of joy in their lives, and build positive associations and relationships through Highlights. They have the opportunity to build a skill set to recall and develop highlights for a positive mood shift. Now, if I'm not wrong, doesn't that even apply to adults?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all of us. Everybody. Yeah, that's it. We just on that, Amanda, just because, you know, according to neuroscientists, we're all hardwired as human beings for negative thinking. And And so being able to focus on the positive and in any situation, whatever it will be, is always going to help us. And it just really does build those neural pathways for our, for positive thinking and positive focus.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like focusing on a highlight, focusing on a positive, or at least moving away from what we interpret as the negative. And I guess that's our influence and what our role is as role models, or providing teachable moments for our kids when there's an experience like that, to demonstrate to them, oh, well, let's look for the highlight, or to ask them, what was your highlight today? Just, it doesn't even have to be a negative, does it? To have that conversation, just to let them retrieve from their hardwire, what was your highlight, or what's a highlight out of that?
Absolutely. And the thing is, there's so many highlights in every single day, and what most of these simple joys is actually free to all of us. So most of the things that fall into the category of highlights, they can be huge things, but the littlest, most simplest things can be the most pleasurable things. And they, just the smile, the connection we're having now, the way that light falls into a room, the way that, if you've got a pet and you pat that pet, the feeling of that. So it's very sensory. It's also, realizing that we have the capacity in us. So they're things that are inside of us. They're things that we experience. They're things that we experience with other people. And there's 7 sources of highlights, according to Dr. Terry Orlick, who's our program mentor. So there's everything from, personally discovering something, achieving something, play games and sports, and all those little things. And we've got these little highlight clickers in the program. So what they do is they're a tactile way for any of us to actually notice, remember, count, be in the moment of a highlight. So the more in the moment we can be with it, the more of that neural pathway, or one of Dr. Rick Hansen calls it experience-dependent neuroplasticity, which is a bit of a tongue twister. Yeah. What that is the more that we're experiencing those things and actually noticing that we're experiencing and enjoying them, the more we're going to be able to easily find those positive things on another day, and there's so many that we can have in the one day.
That's right. And like you said, those 7, I've got them in front of me because we live off them too in our early learning centres. And let me just call them out. And I guess we can have a light conversation about them as well. One of them is positive human interaction. Like you said, it's for free. It's available to us. It's for any age. It's with anybody. And positive interactions could be as simple as just commenting, acknowledging, giving a hug, doing a small act of kindness. And whilst we think, well, isn't that just something we do anyway? No, it's not something that we put into our model to reinforce. That is a highlight. And that is something that some adults have to relearn that. So isn't it wonderful that we can put that straight into our system for our young children to become familiar with it and consider that as one of their highlights?
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. Even just sharing having a laugh and, even as adults, we're having a joke with a friend, that's a highlight there, it's just, they're there all the time, just very simple.
And even over the last few months when it's been super challenging for everybody and a lot of people have been more separated from the people they love than they would have liked to, or the people that they have relationships with at school and that sort of thing, even connecting over the camera like we are today. I mean, it's not the same as having a hug, but it's still a positive connection. And that's a lot of the feedback that we're getting from the schools that are implementing positive living skills, is that really supported those kids when they weren't able to go to school, is they were connecting with highlights and talking about the highlights with their classmates and their teachers to help them just find the positives that were still in the days that were different to days they'd had before, not the same.
That's right. And even our young ones in our centres, we've taught them to go home and teach their parents what the highlights are too.
Yeah,
because
beautiful.
Right.
yeah, so we deliver the message somehow, anyhow. And then there's also the positive interaction with nature. There's another highlight.
100%.
Oh,
So we're so blessed with what's around us. Just even if it's just the blue of the sky, you know, like, or the shape of the clouds. It's just there with us.
So, funny you say
and
that.
it's scientifically proven that the more we can spend time in nature, the more that we are tapped into our own capacity, and just we're more likely to notice the positive things just by breathing the fresh air and surrounding ourselves, even for 5 minutes. Yeah.
And as we speak of that, for me, that takes me to, I'm an outdoor runner, and I that's my most favorite part of the day, where someone would think, but doesn't that hurt? You're a long distance runner. What about the pain? But you know, when I've got this beautiful track that goes through just bushes, and there's these little birds that live in there that you don't see a kilometre earlier or a kilometre afterwards, because they live there, or the sun, or the clouds, or the breeze, or I smell it when the grass is cut, because I go through the reserves. And it's just that connection with nature, for me, is what makes me say, gee, my run was beautiful. Was it? Or was it the scenery? Doesn't matter. It was a highlight, wasn't it? And that's what we do with our kids. We take them outside. We give them opportunity to play with dirt, to feel it, to smell it. It engages the senses. That automatically becomes a highlight. It encourages conversation. It encourages our mindfulness activity. So emotional wellness, just with what they have, could be just water, sand.
100%. Well done. And well done on all of that. That's exactly what we want to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the positive connections through playing and games and sports and all their physical activities. And let's just say, we've all got to get our sillies out somehow, but are they sillies, or are they just our way of just connecting and finding different types of highlights, getting out of our own skin and just being creative we form teams, or we just play.
Absolutely.
And it's so beneficial to our minds and the movement. So the play is one thing, and just the movement just processes any kind of stress we've built up, or just, as you say, I mean, get your sillies out, or just moving, and you know, Possible loves to dance, so you know, and if the little kids can and big kids can get up and have a 5-minute movement to music, even, how fantastic.
Possible is very, very popular. We've done many things with Possible. We've even recreated Possible as well, so that we give him personality. And and we often ask for advice, and sometimes we go to a Possible, our positive personal accomplishments, which is one of the 7s. And so what I like about that part of the unit is that some people, doesn't matter any age, kids, older kids, teens or adults, sometimes don't recognize their own personal accomplishments. And our role is to say, well, you just achieved that. That's an accomplishment. Even if it was a decision, that's actually an accomplishment, isn't it? Or to say something, or to create something, or to discover something, or to the way you feel. So it's a matter of us using the language to introduce to children. That's a highlight. You had a positive personal accomplishment.
Yes, 100%.
And it's so important for young people to lose the comparisons and be themselves, and also just be their personal best. You know, that's really what we want young people to achieve, is to do the things that make them happy, and to just do their best in that field. And that Possible stands for that too, personal best. So it's about just being the best I can be in what I'd like to do, and that is a personal accomplishment, you know, in itself. So
that's extremely important, especially when I'm in my clinic and I have some of the older kids who haven't had the opportunity to be exposed to positive personal accomplishments, whether it's through your program or not. what happens, unfortunately, is a lack of self-esteem, a lack of confidence. They begin to strive or head towards the need for perfectionism or achievements that are unrealistic in expectations. Whereas positive personal accomplishments are real and they are not exceeding expectations. All we ever need is our personal best, right? And when kids are in that frame of thinking, they are good, they are grounded, they are confident. And it's not, I'm not a big thing about confidence. I'm a big thing about courage, because it's the courage, giving something a try, that can lead to you feeling that sense of confidence. But to let them know and to carry with them, that's personal accomplishment, then I think that they're on the right track. It's a matter of us keeping them in that way before they lose that. It's when they lose that they begin to experience some negativity.
That's right, because they shy away from learning anything new. They shy away from putting themselves out there. And so, yeah, encouraging them that every time they do try something new or step out, learning something new, and that's possible. You know, everything takes practice. So you can't do something for the first time and know it. So the fact that you've tried it, that's a highlight, you know, or just bringing back all the time that acknowledgement is just so important.
Yeah, I always like to use the example, and I sometimes say this to adults, even for resilience. There was a time that you couldn't walk and you would climb up on furniture and fall back down, and you kept climbing back up and falling back down because you were learning to walk, and you probably did that 100 times, but you never said, oh, this is too hard, I'm giving up, I'm never going to try walk.
Exactly.
You just kept trying and you just did it. So let's move to the next one. Positive personal discovery or creativity. What can you say about that?
Well, I think when we activate our creativity, we've got that chance to be in that sort of flow, you know, we call it fully connected focus, in Terry's work, or flow, it's often called. So when we're creative, we're using that other side of our brain where, you know, to create something is to put something there that wasn't there before. So that's also a personal accomplishment, and it just taps people into their capabilities, and everybody has the capability to be creative. There's a lot of people who go, oh, I'm not a very creative person, yet they solve problems all the time and they find new ways to do things. So I think everybody has a level of creativity, and it really helps to tap into that, acknowledge that in yourself as well.
And our imagination, like the kids have wonderful imagination, so they're creative, and they're probably not even realising they're creative in their mind. You know, they're what dreams, the imagination, things they come out with, that's their creativity there.
Yeah, and what you said earlier on is spot on. It helps with problem solving skills. And so we really try and get kids and adults and the educators to be as creative as possible. And what else can this be? And if it's not that, what else can you turn that into? Or we'll do a different path. Like even for ourselves, if we're always driving the same path, and we spoke about our neural pathways too, take a different route. You're taking your dog for a walk, go a different direction. If kids are sitting there all the time, sit over there now. So we can encourage them by not directing them, just encourage them. So it's like they're doing it on their own, so that we can show them that is also part of being a flexible mindset, rather than being so narrow-minded. So it's really, really good to discover just creativity and just be anything, and just be okay with mistakes. Mistakes are my favourite things in the childcare centre. I tell our girls all the time, make mistakes in front of the kids and show them how you take it lightly, and show them how you get out of it. Because the older kids unfortunately make mistakes and they're stuck. They then give up. They don't do this, and it just snowballs. But if you do a mistake and say, oh my goodness, I did a mistake, how funny is that? Or what did I learn from that? And just show that you can move out of that, and that it's acceptable, make mistakes and be proud of them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the only way you learn anything and you know, in any area of life at any age, is to learn by, and then you find another way. If it's something that you really want to do, you find a different way, as you said, a different route.
Yeah. And from all our mistakes, don't we learn something?
Yep.
Yeah. And we never stop making them.
I have to keep doing it a few times.
We're still making them. You know, you don't get to a certain age and go, right, well, I've made all the ones I'm going to make now, because it's in, you know, it's built in to life.
Yeah,
We
I don't know when
I
they get that.
new ones.
That's saying I don't make the same mistake twice. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, it is what it is, and that's okay too.
Yeah. And what about, let's move to positive physical sensations.
Yes.
Well, that was what we were sort of saying before, and things like, you know, just the feel of a warm bath on a cool night, you know, a cold glass of water on a hot day, things that we take for granted. If we really experience them, and they're all the things we can see, feel, hear, taste, and touch. Those are the things that we can savour in different ways to really connect with ourselves. It actually helps us feel calm as well. It's a really good way to be calm when you're not feeling calm, is to then all of a sudden connect to your senses. So, and I mean, how great for, you know, the little kids, like you're saying, taking them out and feeling the dirt and feeling sand between your toes, or all of those things. And they're things that we sort of, as we grow up older, take for granted, but they're things that we can come back to and really, you know, experience.
And I think that's a really important highlight, because it's too easy to get stuck in our own minds, and even kids do this. They forget that I can go over there and experience with my hands and my other senses, my skin, because they're busy with their mind. And as they get older, they get better at being busy with their minds. So we need to give them opportunities to keep experiencing this and not think that it's less important, because it's actually really important. Even I myself will take off my shoes so that I can walk on the grass and feel the grass instead of just being in my shoes.
Yeah. And that actually is grounding, you know, that grounds us when we, you know, need to get out of our heads and more into our bodies and hearts and those sorts of things. So, yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It looks like we've left the best for last. I shouldn't even see. That was so biased of me, but it's a really nice one. Pure relaxation, number 7. Joyful moments of pure, uninterrupted silence when you feel calm, tranquil, rested, and peaceful. You know, it's so... I've been in childcare like forever. I'm not that old really, but like for a long time. And I've watched... Yeah, okay. So I've watched kids go to bed. Back when I was first in childcare, it was like, okay, that's the next routine. Whereas now it's like, let's have a lay down and sit, and we have the conversations, or we stare at the ceilings and we talk about things, and it's like we engage in the relaxation part. You don't have to sleep, for example, or we play with silence, or we create the bubbles around us of calm. And what if we're not relaxed, but can we find how to be calm? Like, you know, we distinguish between the two, or we give ourselves questions that we can answer on the inside. So any way we can relax, it can be outside. It can be sitting on a chair. It doesn't have to be in our bed. So I just use that as an example.
100%. Yeah. And breathing is such an important part of relaxation as well.
Yeah.
That controlled breathing, and the kids learning to be able to take their breaths in. And
it's good for the little, you know, the younger kids to have those, you know, those guided relaxation tracks that helps. And that helps me too. I mean, sometimes when I go to meditate, you know, it's not easy to slow your busy mind. So, you know, you can do it. I mean, CATH does it to a sound. I sometimes choose a guided relaxation to take me into that space, and then a little bell rings, and then you've got sort of 6 to 10 minutes of nothingness where you're just focusing on your breathing and trying to come back to maybe a word or a mantra that you're remembering. For the little kids, taking them on a journey where some of them, they go on a Star Trek voyage, and they imagine their spaghetti toes is cute because they imagine their hard, stiff spaghetti that's not cooked, and then they imagine their fluffy, floppy, warm spaghetti on a plate that's being cooked, and they can practice with their bodies what tension and relaxation feels like. So, and it's so important for us to remember that as we get older, because we're so busy and we're rushing from one place to the next, is to take those times to actually, and not just relaxation as in I'm just going to sit and watch a movie in front of the TV, which can be relaxing, but those extra relaxation times when you're actually not interrupting your mind with anything but, your floating thoughts and trying to bring yourself back. And you can do that in as little as 5 minutes.
Absolutely. And it's really good that we've got the opportunity to teach the kids to do it all by themselves. Sure, we're there to say, oh, let's try this and let's try that. But we give them the skills for them to practice doing it all by themselves. They can, like, for example, imagine the hot chocolate, blow on it so it can cool down, because we do want the longer external breath to be longer, more important than the inhale, or
breathe out longer.
Or you do your favorite shape with your finger, and like it's just grounding them, and it's just it becomes their highlight because it's their own resources they're using their own skills. They come up with their own ideas. They can be creative. They can do it whenever they want. They can do it on their hand. They can do it in the air, and they don't have to do it just when you say it. They might want to calm down at home because somebody's annoyed them or they're having whatever's going on for them, and they say, right, because if we practice these relaxation skills when we're calm, what does our unconscious mind do later? Retrieve it as a skill when you're having that little hissy fit or little tantrum. So the time to learn these things is not when we're emotionally aroused. We can't remember them because our logical mind is not interested. We're busy being emotional. So giving the kids these opportunities to have these as highlights, and therefore learning the skills, well, when they need them, they retrieve them.
Yeah, so important.
Absolutely. Yeah, and even as well with the kids, again, the visualization in regards to relaxation. Within the program, we do the special place relaxation. So the kids, are managed to take themselves their own special place that they can go to in their mind if they want to. It's just, I always think that's really important because kids just have such great imaginations, and they can just go there just like that.
And
absolutely.
Speaking about imagination, I'll just round this up with this comment. Some people come, or some kids any age come and say, oh, my imagination is like my worst enemy. But that also means it's your best asset. So if you are good enough to imagine something a little bit negative, well, let's use your imagination and think of something more positive. And
it's the most creative part of them. It's absolutely vital that they change those channels and take themselves somewhere different for sure.
Absolutely.
Ladies, I think this has been really insightful. I'm really glad we've had the opportunity to tell anybody out there that's listening or interested how we can use highlights every single day, early childhood, older kids, adults, and it's just a really good way that you've been able to put this together in your program for us. Positive living skills. Thank you so much for today. Is there anything else that you wanted our listeners to know?
Oh, just thanks for the opportunity for us to chat to you, Amanda. And just obviously, if anybody wants to learn more about what we're doing, we've got the website and those sorts of things, positivelivingskills.com.au, which is just the name. But yeah, we'd love to connect. We're just so passionate about supporting communities to learn, to help kids and educators and families to learn these skills so that we can all benefit. It's a good reminder for us too, talking about it today.
Isn't it?
That's right. So absolutely. So thank you so much, Amanda. It's great, and we love how passionate you all are within your services. With what you're doing with the kids is really great.
And the Positive Thinking Clinic.
Yes,
thanks
you.
For having us.
All right, I'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And a warm welcome to today's listeners. Allow me to introduce myself as the host of today's episode. My name is Amanda Dounis. I'm the founder of the Positive Thinking Clinic located at Wallow Creek, Sydney. Here at the Positive Thinking Clinic, I see clients of all ages. I see individuals, couples, families, and small groups. I conduct psychotherapy and use a variety of modalities delivered through counselling techniques and hypnotherapy. I am a professional counsellor, clinical hypnotherapist, and strategic psychotherapist. I'm an early childhood teacher and an NLP master practitioner. To learn more about what I do and what I offer, visit my website www.positivethinkingclinic.com.au. The easiest way to connect with me on social media is to search my name, Amanda Dounis, or my clinic, Positive Thinking Clinic. You may also access my social media at the bottom of my website. I am the author of My Coping Skills Handbook, aimed at kids aged to 12 years of age. I have also turned this into an online course. I have a range of podcasts that can be found on amandadounis.podbean.com. In addition to the Positive Thinking Clinic, I am the owner of 4 early learning centres. I am passionate about quality care and emotional wellness of all ages. I believe we set the foundation for emotional wellness from a very young age. My early learning centres are licensed as Positive Living Skills Services. I also have an emotional wellness and kids Facebook group. One of my greatest hobbies is learning. I think I am always enrolled in a variety of courses, no matter how small. I enjoy adding to my skill set. As an integrative therapist, I learn diverse skills and select the best fit for any situation. If you wonder if I have any other hobbies, I am also into fitness. I have run a number of marathons, including 2 ultra marathons. So that's me in a nutshell. If you want to get in touch, you can use the contact form on my website, positivethinkingclinic.com.au. I would love to hear from you. Signing out and moving forward. You're listening to Amanda Dounis. Hello and welcome. I'd like to introduce to you Kath and Joe from Positive Living Skills. Positive Living Skills was founded on Catherine Shaw's lived experience of anxiety. In her mid-40s and at her lowest point, all of a sudden, she had a moment of complete clarity and realized she was in serious trouble and realized the impact that she was having on her family. Living in rural New South Wales at the time presented a number of challenges in seeking support. And so she made the decision to take responsibility for herself, to learn about her mind and to find a way forward. As soon as she understood that there were a series of skills and strategies that she could learn and apply to support herself, she learned them, applied them, and then shared them with her family and others around her. And she could see the impact these skills were having. She considered how different her life could have been had she known these skills much earlier in life. She then researched how social and emotional learning was taught in schools. She discovered there were no specific programs and teachers were not trained to develop lessons in this area, and she felt compelled to do something about it. She connected with Dr. Terry Orlick, a world leader in mental excellence. She then connected with Joe, and together they developed the Positive Living Skills Wellbeing in Australia. And she remains passionate and committed to see that children learn these skills so that the next generation is empowered to support themselves emotionally and have the resilience to manage life's challenges. Thank you, Catherine Shaw. Now a little bit about Joe. After a 20-year-plus successful career in corporate, she found herself at over 40 and facing life without children of her own, a reality that she didn't expect when she was younger. When she finished school, her mum said to her, "You'll finish school, you'll get a job, you'll meet a man, you'll get married, and you'll have children." All in the one sentence. And that sounded okay to her. But life didn't happen like that. She had a yearning for more meaning and purpose in her life. A lot of meaning and purpose came when she became the primary support person for her sister, who experienced a major stroke in 2008, which left her unable to walk or talk. Helping her literally get back on her feet and regain her independence was one of the most challenging and rewarding things she's ever done. She was also seeing so many people around her struggling with mental health issues, and she wanted to help. She started learning about how her mind worked and started counseling, life coaching, and neuro-linguistic programming. And she completed 12 months as a lifeline telephone counselor as well. And her whole perspective on mental illness and suicide changed. All this learning led her to CATH, Catherine Shaw, and her work with positive living skills. She wanted to be part of something that can leave a legacy for future generations, so young people can learn the essential skills to help them feel empowered and live life to their personal potential, no matter what their circumstances. There are 6 core concepts in the positive living skills preschool and primary school programs. Highlights feelings, focus, relaxation, cooperation, and self-esteem. And another 6 concepts in the primary extension program for years 3 to 6. Appreciation, communication, choice, solutions, leadership, and potential. I'm so very grateful to be able to have Joe and Catherine on board. Let's see what we can learn together.